On News Radio 930 WBEN, this is Buffalo Means Business, where we tell the stories of local businesses and services. I'm Randy Bushover. If there's a business or service you'd like to hear featured, send me an email at randy.bushover@entercom.com. Joined by Michael Olear from the Olear Team at MJ Peterson. And I know that a lot of people are familiar with MJ Peterson, but what exactly is your role with them?
Our role is we're a small company that's housed within MJ Peterson's structure. We're organized as a Subchapter S company. We have 10 realtors on our team. We work throughout Niagara and Erie County, and we focus on residential real estate. We have specialized programs for older adults and their caregivers. We also get involved with a lot of the legal community in terms of helping out with estates, power of attorney situations.
And part of what you just referred to, in particular, the references to Elderlife Real Estate, a term with which I'm not familiar, so I'm going to go on the assumption there are more than a few people that need to have that explained maybe a little.
That's correct, yes. And as far as Elderlife Real Estate, of course it involves the sale of a residential home, be it a single-family, two-family house, but there's a variety of other issues that come into play, because quite frequently someone's been in the house for maybe 20, 30. Yesterday I was with a guy who's been in the house for 50 years, and the other issues that get involved with that are legacy giving to family, what particular items are going to go to who. There's also going to be more than likely moving to a smaller space. As a result, there's going to be a lot of personal property that's going to have to be sold, donated, or some solution needs to be found for all of that. Quite frequently, too, just the logistics. How's this going to happen? Are we going to move first? Are we going to sell? Stay here while people are looking at it and then move after. I was talk about the folks I was with yesterday. When I got there, they were pretty nerved up, in terms of they have a place to go. They're moving into, independent living, senior apartment. And in his case, him and his wife have been there for 50 years, but actually grew up in the house. And when he was 25, his mom asked him if he wanted to buy it. So all told, he's emotionally connected to this property for 75 to 80 years. So, and as soon as I got there, I kind of realized that the best thing for them is actually just to move first, take, the different items that they really want to keep with them, give what they want to give to family, and then simply reposition what's left so the house shows well, and then sell the property. After the house sells, it's 2 months to closing, and then at that point you could do a household sale and sell everything else. So by the time I left yesterday, we all had a sense of calm. We got a good focus on the direction, and then I'm going to go back on Wednesday, and in between now and then, what I'm actually going to do is build out a timeline for them, as far as when is everything going to happen. When's the move? When's the sort of, call it, cleanup staging time? And, everything else will just flow from there.
And in terms of the Olear Team's history, I assume there was one before it became part of MJ Peterson?
Well, I originally started at Century 21. I was there for a while, and then I was a RE/MAX agent for a good probably 14 years, and I've been at MJ Peterson now for, the balance of my 33 years in the business. Prior to getting into real estate, I was in social work. I have a master's degree in social work, and around the year 2000, myself and my partner, Laura Nightingale, we decided to start focusing on older adults. And, for the longest time, we've been doing this kind of sitting down, planning, helping people figure out what they need to do, when they need to do it. And just over the last, say, 5-6 years, we've actually come up with a service called, we call it project management. And what we actually do is we put together a plan for them that involves everything that they're going to need. Well, moving, estate sale, repairs. Every single town now practically has an inspection that has to happen, and there's usually some type of remediation required. So we put the plan together with them, and then we actually have, in addition to realtors on our team, among those that number I mentioned, we have a project manager, an advertising person, and also a transaction coordinator. So our project manager actually becomes their best friend and helps them through every stage of the process. She gets proposals from, say, 2 or 3 estate sale people. If they run into having to put a sump pump in order to sell a house in the town of Tonawanda, she'll get a couple estimates for them. The owner of the property still writes the checks and controls the process, but we do all the running around. The number one thing for an older adult when they're moving is not to get sick and not to fall down. That is the number one thing, and people really have to back off a little and realize that they do need some help to have this whole thing happen.
Speaking with Michael Olear from the Olear Team at MJ Peterson. This is Buffalo Means Business on News Radio 930 WBEN. And I'm guessing that one of the best pieces of advice that you have for people who come to you is the whole idea of preparation, because you never know when the end is going to come, but you should be prepared ahead of that. So is that the kind of the one major piece of advice that you would have?
That's really important, and we do a lot of seminars in the community about this, to try to school people on this. And quite frankly, I mean, there's a house I sold, maybe about 3 months ago. We closed it, and the lady, first time I met with her was about 7 or 8 years before. It's something for some folks. Maybe they just can't call me up and, hey, put the house up for sale. The big thing, a lot of times what we do is we go back at least maybe 2, 3, 4 times, help them figure out what their plan's going to be. And then a lot of times the plan, maybe it has to be executed over a year's time. Maybe kids are all over the country. There's different items you have to figure out, who's going to get what. And just to kind of coach them through the process. I would consider us almost like a concierge for real estate, that we have contacts with all the different contractors that they would need, and we just help them through the process. But the planning aspect is critical. It's really important to put it in writing and attach dates to it so you can keep with a schedule.
This gets edited out just to help Kevin. How many transactions do you have per year?
Last year, we closed 160 transactions. We have a real, an active, vibrant team that, works throughout Erie and Niagara. It's, at the same time, one of the things that's really, really important to us, and part of this whole planning thing is to make sure that, through the process, people are able to still, like our slogan is, to sell the house but keep your home. That's really critical to us, and that's part of what we try to talk to people about when we're meeting with them. It's a really good example, that I've talked about recently. We just recorded a video about it, but a lady, let's call her Eloise, she had a really large teacup collection, probably 70 or 80 teacups mounted on the dining room wall in, a wooden, beautiful case that her husband had made for her. And she just didn't want to move because she knew that her husband had died maybe 5 years before. And I think for her, leaving the house and leaving those behind was the biggest stumbling block. So, in conjunction with her family, we were able to help them put together, they took digital photographs of all the teacups and put them on a thumb drive, and then bought her a really nice digital frame. And then she ended up choosing maybe about 10 of them to keep, and they actually dismantled part of the frame and took it with her. So that was the most important thing that, for her. And what we try to do is help people figure out what their psychological furniture is. And I don't know if that's actually a term, but maybe we're making that up. But everybody has that. I mean, like, for example, in our house, we have a certain setup in the guest bathroom, and my wife has it's a sunset, and the towels are orange and black, and it kind of symbolizes for us, being on a beach vacation together, just her and I, and it's real important if we ever move. We had that in our last house, so we just set up that bathroom exactly the same way. That's very much, a big part of our home. So even though we recently switched houses in the last year or so, we brought our home with us.
Yeah, I see how that goes, because certainly everyone has that same experience. That there's something they're attached to that doesn't maybe have a huge money value attached to it, but the sentimental value you can't put a price on. You mentioned the team. How big of a team do you have working with you?
We have 10 people total, and we have our transaction coordinator, marketing person, and Donna, our project manager. And then we have a total of 8 realtors throughout Erie and Niagara. And initially I said 10, I was thinking of team members, but we have 8 total. And experience level, if you average it out, it averages out around 21 years of experience, the people on our team. We have people, there's 5 of us that have more than 30 years in the business. So it's, some real know-how on our team.
And what I'm struck by is you mentioned this throughout the time that we've had this conversation, the personal touch, because you really get to know these individuals that you're working with. And that really helps, because then they kind of get the idea that you are there to help them and not to maybe, take your whatever percent. I mean, you're literally there to give them the best deal that they can and the most help they can to transition to what comes next.
Absolutely. Really critical for us is the concept of agency. Agency means you're acting for another, and you're in the situation as their realtor, whether they're buying or selling. It's critical to be protecting their best interest. And one of the things, actually one of the hardest things for me has always been, over the years I've been in real estate, is you really get close to people. And then once they're in the house, you really don't have a reason to talk anymore. It actually could be kind of creepy if you keep calling them up. So, it's but that is one of the hardest things. And we stay in touch with people, call them once in a while, see how things are going. But it's really, for me especially, because women live longer than men. I end up helping a lot of women that have, their husbands have died. And they're in a house and it's too big, but maybe their husband did so many things for them in terms of managing the finances. So something we've been especially focusing on the last, I'd say 5 to 6 years, is trying to empower them so that they grow personally and take charge of their finances and get confidence to do that. And we really, as much as possible, counsel them towards moving in that direction.
And if somebody wants to get a hold of you or any member of the Olear team, how would they do that?
Well, you could call us at the office. Our phone number is 716-880-4442. Our website is Olear.com. It's OLEAR.com. And my email is michael@Olear.com. As simple as that.
Easy enough. That phone number again, for those who are just picking up the paper to put together with a pen, 880-4442. Michael, very good. Appreciate having you by.
Thanks for having me.
Michael Olear from the Olear team at MJ Peterson. This is Buffalo Means Business on News Radio 930 WBEN.